Good morning, Elmonica engineers.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Since we're working on our friendship unit, we've selected a breathing activity titled Kind Wishes. You'll get to think of 3 special people while you're taking your deep breaths today.
That is perfect. It sounds like this breathing activity will get us ready for today's lesson. Today, we're going to talk about and learn about ways that we can show that we're a supportive friend.
Wow, that sounds great. And as always, we'll finish the lesson with a read aloud. I think you guys are really going to like the book this week.
Kind wishes.
Hola.
Hey there. Have a seat and get all nice and comfortable. You good?
Sí. ¿Y tú?
Yup. Muy bien.
We all need a little boost of hope and light sometimes.
So take a minute to think of 3 people that you think could use that boost. Some extra love, some extra warmth, and then send kind wishes to them.
It can be anyone. A friend, a family member, a neighbor, or someone you've never even met.
Ready? Let's do this.
Breathe in deep. Exhale and send out kind wishes to someone.
Breathe in deep. Exhale and send kind wishes to someone else.
Inhala. Exhala and send out kind wishes to one more person.
Hopefully, all those people received your kind wishes, and now their day will be a little better and a little brighter.
And now we are sending kind wishes to you because you're the best.
All right, Elmonica engineers, it's time for our connections question. Today, I am wondering, what can you do to include others? Well, I know for me, I usually look around and see if I notice anybody who looks lonely or sad or maybe is feeling left out. And I go over to them and see if I can start up a conversation with them, get to know them better, maybe even invite them to join me. What about you, Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, I think when I think about including someone, I think especially for next year when we all come back to school and it's a little bit more regular, we might have classmates that we haven't seen in a really long time, or we might have new classmates. And so I kind of think like if there's a new classmate in your class, what you can do to make them feel included or special, like maybe spending a few minutes and telling them what to expect, or inviting them to play in a game at recess or sit by you at lunch. Those are some ways that I thought of. What about you, Ms. Hastings?
I agree with both of you. I also try to notice if I'm in a conversation with someone, I try to notice if someone is standing close by and maybe not included. I'll share with that person what we're talking about and try to open up the conversation to everyone who's standing by.
Wow, those are great ideas. What about all of you? What do you do to include others?
Hello, Elmonica engineers. Thanks for joining us for Wellness Wednesday. Today's lesson is I've Got Your Back. The goal of this lesson is to identify ways to give others support and to become more supportive of others. Last week, you pledged to be a good friend by choosing 3 characteristics that you wanted to work on. How are you doing? Is one more difficult than others? Have you found that one is easier to work on than others? Remember, a pledge is a promise, so continue working on these characteristics in order to be a good friend. Your friendship pledge shows your commitment to being a good friend. But what about being a good classmate? Since we're part of the same classroom community, we're going to work together to create a list of good habits to help the people around us feel supported and respected. Let's start by creating a list of I've got your back behaviors. I've got your back behaviors are when we're there for someone when they need us. Some examples might be when someone says something nice to someone else when they're upset or feeling down, or helping someone if they need help understanding an assignment or knowing what to do. What are some other I've got your back behaviors? Some more examples might include sticking up for a friend, helping someone else clean up, sharing your belongings with someone who needs it, inviting someone to join who doesn't have a group or doesn't have people to play with, looking for a lost item for someone, repeating directions for someone, waiting patiently for someone, sending someone a smile who looks like they need one. Most I've got your back behaviors fall into a couple categories. There's helping, sharing, and supporting. What are some ways you can practice I've got your back behaviors at home? How can you help? How can you share? And how can you support? The challenge for you is to practice I've got your back behaviors at home. Practicing I've got your back behaviors often will make them habits. Helping, sharing, and supporting are wonderful habits that will make you not only a better friend and classmate, but a better person.
The Invisible Boy, written by Trudy Ludwig, illustrated by Patrice Barton. Can you see Brian the Invisible Boy? Even Mrs. Carlotti has trouble noticing him in her classroom. She's too busy dealing with Nathan and Sophie. Nathan has problems with what Mrs. Carlotti calls volume control. He uses his outside voice inside too much. Sophie whines and complains when she doesn't get her way. Nathan and Sophie take up a lot of space. Brian doesn't. When the bell rings for recess, Mika and JT take turns choosing kids for their kickball teams. The best players get picked first, then the best friends of the best players, then the friends of the best friends. Only Brian is left, still waiting and hoping. JT glances in Brian's direction and just as quickly looks away. We've got enough players for each team, he tells the others. Let's play ball. In the cafeteria, Madison and her friends talk about her birthday party. The rope swing over the pool was awesome, says JT. Yeah, so was the water slide, adds Fiona. That was the best pool party ever. I'm so glad you guys had fun, says Madison. Everybody did except Brian. He wasn't invited. At choosing time, while the other kids play board games and read, Brian sits at his table doing what he loves to do best. He draws fire-breathing dragons scaling tall buildings, space aliens locked in intergalactic battles, greedy pirates digging for treasure, and superheroes with the power to make friends wherever they go. On Monday morning, Mrs. Carlotti introduces Justin, a new student, to the class. Brian smiles shyly at him. Some of the other kids sneak looks at Justin, trying to figure out if he's cool enough to be their friend. They haven't quite made up their minds yet. At lunch, Madison and JT watch Justin eat with chopsticks. "What's that?" asks Madison as she points at Justin's food. "It's bulgogi." Bul what? Bulgogi. It's Korean barbecued beef. My grandma made it for me. It's really good. Do you want to try some? There's no way I'd eat bulgogi. And the kids laugh. All of them. That is, except Brian. He sits there wondering which is worse, being laughed at or feeling invisible. The next day when Justin goes to his cubby to put away his backpack, He notices a piece of paper with his name on it. Justin. I thought the bulgogi looked good. Brian. At morning recess, Brian finds a piece of chalk on the ground and starts drawing away. You're Brian, right? Yeah. Thanks for the note. Hey Justin, Emilio calls out from the tetherball court. You're up next. Sorry, I gotta go, says Justin. By the way, that's a really cool drawing, he adds before taking off. Back in class, Mrs. Carlotti asks the kids to team up in twos or threes for a special project. The kids scurry around the room to pair off. Brian heads toward Justin. I'm already with Justin, says Emilio. Find someone else. Brian looks at the floor, wishing he could draw a hole right there to swallow him up. Mrs. Carlotti said we can have up to 3 people in our group. We're only 2. Come on, Emilio, let him work with us. Okay, I guess. Mrs. Carlotti gives the class directions for the project. Your assignment is to work together to write a story about what you see in that photograph. Use your imagination and have fun. Whoa, cool, says Emilio. What kind of people do you think would live in houses like that? I don't know, but I bet Brian could draw them to go with our story, says Justin. Brian smiles as he takes out his lucky pen. It's lunchtime again, Brian's least favourite part of the day. Another 20 long minutes of kids talking and laughing with everyone else, but him. Brian! He hears someone shout. Hey Brian! Over here! Brian turns and sees Justin waving him over. Emilio nods at Brian as he makes room for him at the table. Maybe, just maybe, Brian's not so invisible after all.